We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lynn and Brian, where all things events and wedding planning. Today, we're going to talk about the sixth disappearing wedding tradition made current. Just like you, I'm interested what Brian's got to say. So we'll be right back. Yay! Hi, Brian.
I just want to grab my, inflatable guitar and just go to town a little bit and not know what I'm doing.
I feel like we're in a Tonight Show or something.
I think we need Scott on the show to do a couple guitar riffs or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
There might be a reason why my parents bought me a drum set when I was young, and then they regretted it ever doing it. So
be like little animal. I could just see you beating on the drums all day.
oh heck yeah, oh yeah. And then when I wore that out, then I went to the kitchen to get pots and pans and stuff. So
oh man.
Then they really liked their son.
So how long did that last?
Well, they haven't forgave me ever since this day, and my dad's in heaven, so it's been a while.
It's been a while. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's
I'm glad
we're
it is.
back.
It is. We're back, and we're just gonna every week have a different little thing we're gonna do. And next week I think it's gonna be fun too. We're not saying what we're gonna do next week, but
no.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All I'll just say is what next weekend is Halloweeny. Yeah. So who knows what that's all going to be about?
See right there. I'm practicing for my Halloween costume. Just see.
Oh, there you go. I ain't wearing no costume.
Maybe that's just me scaring kids. I don't really know.
Anyhow, so today I'm pretty excited that you're saying we're going to have 6 things that we're going to talk about as far as wedding traditions.
Yeah.
That are made current.
Well, and I think for our group and whatnot, I mean, for anybody that's tuning in, we're truly blessed that you're with us. This show is going to be shorter. It's going to be more about wedding and events. But here's the thing is that whatever event you're doing, whether it's a Christmas event or any type of gathering, it doesn't really matter. You can replace events and weddings with whatever you're doing that involves people, right? And so Lynn shared this article with me, and I actually reviewed it, and I jotted down some notes. And my first, and maybe we can make this article available for people if they want, just so that they have the context. But the first thing is, I know how fast our society moves, like with links and information, but I was like, wow, this, and I'm not like in a culturally fast-paced environment here in the Midwest. I mean, we watch corn grow, right? So it's not like I'm in Los Angeles or, I'm a couple hours away from Chicago in southern Wisconsin or in New York. But the first thing that stood out to me is that these 6 traditions, there's nothing new. Like these have been going away for years. It's just a matter of like, number one, if you witness it when you're at a wedding or at an event. Number two is that depending on where you are geographically, right? Because some move at a faster pace than others, and that's fine. But looking at this list, I mean, do you want me to go through each one of these and kind of give a little, rundown or just over synopsis of what I thought of
them? You can mention real quick all 6 and then start talking a little bit about each one. How's that?
Okay. So then the article that Lynn sent to me was from Lifestyle Blog or Lifestyle magazine, and it was online, and it says, I've been a wedding planner for over 4 years, so this is somebody's point of view. Here are 6 traditions that are disappearing, and this was October 7th of this year. Number 1 is guests are congratulating newlyweds after the ceremony in a receiving line. So they see here, guests aren't congratulating newlyweds. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, brides are ditching uniform bridesmaid dresses in the bouquet and garter toss. Okay, so that's kind of a twofer. Couples are no longer tossing the bouquet and garter. Number 4 is traditional bride and groom sides in the ceremony are no longer popular. So it's like on the left-hand side, if you're looking at the staging area, audience left or audience right, they're no longer doing that, according to this person that wrote this. Number 5 is guest skipping the receiving lines immediately after the wedding. Number 6 is the first look superstition has been debunked. So the bride and groom seeing each other before their marriage is official. And it's no longer the norm for a bride's parents to pay for the wedding. I wrote down just things that came up, because obviously of the time frame we have. But I'm like, this is nothing new. This has been in the process for years, in my opinion. And I'm not, like I mentioned, I'm not in a very fast-paced environment in southern Wisconsin, but these have been going away for years. And I
So
think that when you bring in Generation X and you bring in Generation Z, they look at things differently, right? These traditions that we've had, where it's baby boomers and all of that, and Generation X, right? I think is what I'm at. Generation X. You're a
yeah.
boomer, aren't you? You're a
No, I'm
boomer.
an X.
Oh, you're an X
Oh,
too. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm the beginning of the X.
That that might be tied into how big families were and how close they were, and there was no internet, and there was no none of this technology back in the day, right? And
Right.
so, I mean, how every year when they review those like on all like Google and other search engines, where they're saying, if you were born in this year, things you will never know, right? Like
Right.
a rotary phone, or what a Nintendo Game Boy is, right?
Right.
So I think it's the same thing. So those are the 6 things. But to me, the only difference is now they hit mainstream, right? Is that these have been going on for years, and to somebody that doesn't see them at weddings, well, that's only from where they live or where they go to weddings, right?
So if you don't mind, I'll just jump around and ask a couple
Sure.
of ones that popped to me. And the
Right.
one that popped to me at first is, yeah, I think, as long as I've known photographers being involved in a wedding, they're on a time constraint. So that's been debunked for a long time, that
Right.
brides do see their spouse. I mean, the bride does see the groom before the wedding, because they're trying to get the pictures out of the way, because after the wedding everybody wants to party and go to a little destination and do those wedding things too. So an efficient photographer kind of requires that the bride and groom see themselves before the wedding. Now that's what I know, but from a professional standpoint, what's your 2 cents on that?
Sure. My 2 cents are on that is like, how important are those photos to you, based on your relationship, based on the influences of your families? Are they really religious? Are they not? One big indicator is, are you getting married in a church? You're getting married in an offsite facility. You know what I mean? Like, just by what people choose to do there. And I know that the metrics are constantly going up in terms of stats about how many people are getting married outside of a house of worship. Those are always going up, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, if we don't have to worry about our guests driving after they've been drinking, and everything is right there laid out in one property or within a reasonable distance of a shuttle, why would you not want to create that guest experience, right? For
and
for guests.
And I've seen it even on TikTok, the wedding things that uh either groomsmen or somebody's dressed in a dress before
Yep.
they think they're gonna see the bride. I think that's
Yep.
pretty funny shit. I mean, I love
Well,
that.
and see, the unknown, the surprise is having fun with it, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I love is, like, when, I know it's a little bit off topic, but when officiants, because obviously, like, that's the most tense part of the day, making it official. And I've done a lot of different things with couples to really break that ice without saying a word, as
Yeah.
people are walking down the aisle, right? The look on, the ring bearer, the flower girl's faces, right? The sign that they might be wearing around their neck. There's all sorts of different things. But when an officiant cracks a joke, that's awesome, because it makes it human again, instead of it being this very stressful time where all of a sudden this year or more of planning and many, many hundreds of hours all of a sudden culminate where everybody's really tense and you can't breathe. And no, that's not the way it should be. So humor is just one of those ways where it can really delicately break the ice from a storytelling perspective. So,
So now let's go to the traditional garter and
sure.
flower thing. Now let me ask you this:
Yep.
have you currently, within forget the word COVID or whatever, but um, have you noticed that people opt out on that? I mean, or most people do that. What's your opinion
Sure.
on that?
There's 2 frames of thought into that. Number one is that, and this is kind of an underlying phrase I tell everybody, and it's something that I believed in for years. If there is no purpose, there is no point, right? If it's just to do these customs because they've been traditional and everybody does them because that's what you do when you go to a wedding or when you plan a wedding, people need to get rid of that way of thinking. It doesn't mean it's not relevant. It's just a little past time, in my opinion, because the amount of value and the amount of impact that can be used with those moments to keep people dancing, to keep you talking to guests. Maybe the groomsmen want to have a cigar. I remember doing a wedding for a couple where the groom was a lawyer, and him and his buddies wanted to reenact what it was with William Shatner and the other guy in Boston Legal, right? Where at the end of every court case day, where it was really stressful and all of that, that they wanted to enjoy cigar, So by opening up and doing those things, that allows for things that impact you. If it doesn't, if it's going to disrupt the chain of the kind of outcome you want in terms of mood and atmosphere, get rid of it, right? Of those couples that want to do it, great. But I think timing and flow is very, very important. And what I
True.
mean by that is that if you have people dancing and having a great time, and then all of a sudden now we need to do this thing, if it appears to be a thing where we're going to lose momentum, people are going to get bored. If it's done just very generically, don't do it, because it's going to appear that way to everybody that's there.
Well,
If it's something that is personalized based on things that are important to the groom, like I did a wedding for Megan and Matthew a couple weeks ago, and it was my third wedding for that group of people. And they had the bouquet and the garter that they wanted to do. Well, within a course of 5 minutes, when it came to that time period, Megan said, "Hey, let's it's about time to do those things." I'm like, "Great. Yeah." And then she came back to me, and the dance floor people were just letting loose. And she goes, "No, I'd rather do this the rest of the night." I'm like, "Great." So number one, plans can change. Number two is that having people dance and creating those memories was more important than those traditions.
And if you ask me, that's always the time that I try to leave, because I'm not advertising I'm single, and I ain't going up there to catch anything, man.
Well, and I think also too, another point of view too, is that we need to deconstruct or separate, because I've had some, not in a bad way, but in a revealing and innovative way, brides and grooms that look at me like a deer in headlights. And here's what it is that when they don't want to do those customs like a bouquet toss or garter, number one, does their distaste come from the actual tradition, or come from the interpretations that they've seen?
Or the
Because
awkwardness,
they're
period.
two entirely different things.
Yeah, it can really set the mood with doing stuff that's awkward, especially when people are like, I came to watch a wedding, I don't want to be participating in that. So I think that's a tradition that definitely
Well,
is.
and I also think too is that the creative thinking behind it is that, like, okay, why does it have to be exclusive to single ladies? If you look at your guest count, you really need to get deep with something so you stage it properly. Number one, if it's going to work to be successful, because anything that happens on wedding day is either going to impact the audience or it's not. And so if you're going to waste your wedding day doing things that really don't matter to you, but you're doing them just because, this person will be happy, I would revisit that. Right.
I mean, I've seen people instead of cutting cake, they got cupcakes anyway. So I mean, like, who cares seeing somebody cut a cake?
I
Just cut
mean,
that shit, put it on people's tables, and call it good.
well, and I've done, there is no right and wrong here, but in order to really get an answer that works, you really have to look at the whole day. You really have to look at it like a magnifying glass in terms what's going to be at the mood at that time of the night. How is everybody going to be feeling? Right? Because every hour of a reception, there are dynamics that come out of people, right? Based on music programming, how long the day has been, do people need to drive? Is everybody from out of town and they have lodging and transportation already taken care of? What is that dynamic? And then what revealing things can you pull out of how guests are going to interact hour by hour? And so the biggest thing about it is demystifying for me is like, okay, if you don't want to do something, that's okay, but let's be clear about why. Is it because of the tradition, which is timeless, right? Or is it your interpretations that really made it awkward? It was a little bit too racy for the audience. My grandmother doesn't want to see this happening. Whatever that is it all comes out of a conversation with somebody that really wants to know. I don't think by somebody saying, no, we don't want to do that, that's good enough for me, because I want to go deeper, right? Because there might be an opportunity there, but in a different way, where maybe we acknowledge the longest married couple, with a bouquet. Maybe the groom just throws the garter instead of removes it and throws it. Maybe there's some symbolic value, like if he's a sports fan, so they take a football or a baseball and wrap the garter around it. Maybe it's an activity where all groomsmen are a part of it, so it's not just the groom feeling isolated if it's a little bit more quiet and passive, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ways of doing it, but I don't think that a yes or no type thing on a questionnaire really gets to the heart of why. and then how do we make that happen at the time that best makes it go over well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap this up here in saying that,
Wow,
Brian,
that was quick.
I love that we touched on it, just 2 out of the 6 tips there. After the show, I'll have Brian in the comments put the link, and I'm working on my text messaging system right now. I'm getting it registered and stuff, so we should be set with that in another week here. But in the meantime, we'll just go ahead and put it in the comments, and I'm so grateful you guys were here. I seen people come pop in and out, and we really appreciate you being here. If you have any events or wedding questions or anything like that, feel free to message Brian or I,
Yep.
and we'll tackle it. And that's why we're here, is to give you guys value. And again, I look forward to the fact that Brian brought a great point, and the point is it's your day, it's your event. You don't need to follow traditions. You don't need to do anything but what you want to do and what feels right to you guys and for your friends. So, anything you would like to say before we leave,
Sure. I
Brian?
did, just a few other things, because 15 minutes goes by way quick, or 12 minutes. Is a couple other things, just as I got the article right here to summarize little points, is that peer pressure. Don't fall for it. What other couples do, because obviously when you get engaged and people hear about it, maybe not so much for the guys, but definitely for the women, is they want to give you all their ideas and all of that. And I get that they want to help, but don't look at somebody else's wedding as if yours needs to be a clone of that.
Well,
Right.
you know what? That would be a great topic for the next time, peer pressure, and
Perfect.
really, and we're going to leave it at that for now.
Okay.
You guys, this is really great. We're going to get Brian to be so concise and right to the point.
Let's
He ain't
do
going to
it.
even know himself. So you guys, we appreciate you being here,
Thanks,
and we'll see
everybody.
you soon. Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
week.